Tharisa has reported its half-year EBITDA numbers, which are up by 37.7% to just over $17 million US. We now explore the numbers further with the chief executive of the firm, Phoevos Pouroulis. Good to have you with us today, sir.
Thank you for having me. Yeah.
You've certainly had an interesting last 6 months, because you've managed to improve, or rather publish, fairly impressive numbers, which didn't take a significant knock as some of your other mineral peers have.
Yeah, I think it's encouraging that we're reporting our first interim profits, some $7.1 million before tax, which is a nice turnaround from the previous comparable period. And it's really bolstered by our excellent performance on PGM production, which is up just below 50% from the first half of last year. And that's really given us our sort of compelling margins, which are around 39% on PGMs. And we're a co-producer of PGMs and chrome concentrates, and we run the business on a co-product basis. And even on the chrome side, we're profitable with a 7% gross margin. So the two commodities together from that large open pit that we have recorded sort of record production and record numbers for us for this period. But having said that, we're still not at steady state yet, and we're on our way to achieving that in the next financial year.
Speaking about margins, it must be nerve-wracking as to how you're going to control them now, given what we've seen on the commodity prices, especially when it comes to platinum. Are you concerned about that?
We're obviously concerned, but with that healthy margin of 39% and a low cost of production, we're one of the lowest cost producers on the PGM basket price, some $480 an ounce. It gives us quite a lot of headroom, and the weaker rand does give us some buffer. So on a dollar basis, the prices have come down about 12%, but on a rand basis around 6.5%. So there is some relief from a weaker rand. On the chrome side, prices have remained stable over the last period, and that's really due to tightness in supply, unlike other bulk commodities like iron ore and manganese that have seen big depreciation in prices.
Speaking about costs, clearly you run a very lean, mean machine, and I'm not referring to a cleaning product here. Yeah. But how are you hoping to maintain this? Because obviously one thinks about skills, mechanization, and that whole debate which follows in the mining fraternity.
Correct. I think by the sort of natural design of our project being an open pit mechanized mine, we have a distinct competitive advantage over underground peers. So we have that cost advantage. We have a smaller labor force by virtue of that fact, and also a skilled labor force. So maintaining labor costs, which is not a big component of our cost structure, around 9%, is a key area, obviously. And then the big area for us is on the mining side. Our biggest expense is mining and diesel consumption because of the big yellow fleet that we have. So certain factors beyond our control in terms of diesel prices and markets, oil prices going forward. However, on the mining contracts, they're pretty fixed contracts with pre-calculated escalation. So I think we've got a good control on that. In terms of power and utilities, it constitutes a very small portion of our cost, around 5 to 6%. And that's really for the processing plants.
Does that mean that you're completely off the grid, or?
No, we're on the grid. We consume about 23 MVA, but as a cost component on a all-in unit cost, it's only around 6% of our costs.
And maybe if you can explain to us your energy management or electricity management regarding consumption here, because clearly that must take a knock on your business.
Yeah, so I think with the fact that we have two processing plants, a larger Voyager plant at 300,000 tons processing capacity and a smaller Genesis plant at 100,000 tons capacity, we have the flexibility of switching down certain parts of the processing circuit. So during a load shedding where we're required to reduce consumption by 20%, we turn off the milling and crushing circuits on the smaller plant, thereby relieving 20% of our power consumption. But we don't stop processing. We process tails through our facility, so our throughput remains consistent. However, the tails are lower grade, so it does affect our recoveries and our yields on those products. So we've had minimal impact, and mainly because we're an open pit producer. We don't have to refrigerate shafts or have big hoisting.
Having said that, you sound like such an optimistic chief executive, which is refreshing, because we always hear about the depressing and tough South African economic climate, sluggish growth, power crisis, unstable labor. But it seems as though you positioned in a good area where you're able to navigate the terrain.
Yeah, it's pleasing to actually report on a positive set of results. When we started out with this project, we used to communicate what the competitive advantages of this open pit co-product business was. And now it's nice to actually illustrate and demonstrate it with real performance and real numbers. And we believe that this is just the beginning, because our cost structure is fairly consistent, and as we increase our productivity, the margins should grow despite the weak commodity market. So I think we're optimistic.
Phoevos, I can't let you go without talking about acquisitions in the pipeline in the future, especially given the pressure that some of the big players in the industry are under. Are you looking locally or even on the rest of the continent?
Yeah, we're always looking, and I think it's part of our stated strategy to grow and use Tharisa as a consolidating platform, either through organic growth. There are opportunities organically within our own footprint, improving our efficiencies, our recoveries. We've engaged with Transnet on a private-public participation siding on site. We currently use a siding 6 kilometers from the site, so we're looking at bringing that on site. So there's organic growth and organic opportunities, and there are obviously the wider market opportunities. Having said that, each come with their own pros and cons, and one has to assess it. And I think the key message is that we won't grow for the sake of growing, and it needs to be value accretive, and we don't want to dilute the very positive story that we have at Tharisa.
So you're not breaking news for us. I thought you were going to say, yes, Google, we're taking on unpacks and a few other projects. But no, good to hear from you nonetheless, and it's a positive story and trajectory that you're on. We look forward to hearing from you. That was Tharisa Chief Executive, Phoevos Pouroulis.